I saw a quote from Houston Rockets guard Austin Rivers. And by the way, I like what Austin Rivers is doing. He's turned himself into a pretty good professional basketball player for the Houston Rockets. I thought he was pretty good for the Rockets late last year once they picked him up and even into the playoffs. I like Austin Rivers' game a lot. I think he's matured a lot. He is a talker, though. He's a little bit of a chatty-patty gossiper type dude. He loves press. And he did an interview recently. He actually did a podcast, I believe. And he said something interesting. Speaking on James Harden and Chris Paul, obviously Chris Paul has been traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Russell Westbrook. Austin Rivers, and he did come out after the season and say there's no beef between James Harden and Chris Paul. Well, Chris Paul has gotten traded. And Austin Rivers still believes there was no beef between James Harden and Chris Paul. He said that was some bullshit. Whoever started that, somebody ended up tarnishing a relationship that wasn't tarnished. That goes to show you how much power media does have. So what Austin Rivers is saying is that the media put it in the heads of James Harden and Chris Paul to hate each other. And this does happen where media and fans, especially in this era with phones, Instagram, Twitter, and when I say fans, I do want to give some blame to media outlets. Like, think about this. An outlet like Bleacher Report. So maybe I can't reach James Harden and Chris Paul, but Bleacher Report, House of Highlights, ESPN, they make jokes too. Some of these personalities on FS1, they make jokes too on their social platforms, on their shows, their debate shows, all that stuff, radio. They make jokes too about the relationships of Harden and Chris Paul, whatever it is, right? And how it ain't work out and this and that and how they don't like each other. They go with false stories from time to time. House of Highlights, Bleacher Report post little jokes. Complex, they post jokes. So this is a real thing. But I don't believe this is what happened here in Houston. I don't believe in this situation this is why Chris Paul was traded from Oklahoma City to Oklahoma City. If you listen to James Harden's exit interview with the Houston Rockets after they were bounced in 6 games by the Golden State Warriors without the services of Kevin Durant at home, might I add, a reporter asked Harden, do you know what needs to be done in the Houston Rockets organization? And you could see Harden, he almost stopped himself before saying it. He said, I know what needs to be done. I know what needs to be done. Exactly what he said. Go watch it. You can find it. He said, I know exactly what needs to be done in Houston. I knew at that moment, he did not mean go trade Eric Gordon. He did not mean go trade Gerald Green, Austin Rivers, Clint Capella even. There was one move that was obvious and clear as day what James Harden was talking about. He did not want to play with Chris Paul. So Austin Rivers, you can tell me, you can think I'm stupid all you want and tell me there was no beef between Harden and Paul. And maybe you didn't see it publicly. And maybe that is a little bit, maybe we exaggerated the public beef a little bit between these two because they're professionals. Somebody didn't like somebody behind the scenes. Daryl Morey wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that trade if he thought Chris Paul gave him the best chance to win at point guard next year. Because you brought in a more selfish guy, right? That theoretically should work even less in that Rockets system. So don't tell me that. Maybe you didn't know, but behind the scenes, I got to believe Harden or somebody in his camp was letting the Rockets know we don't want to play with him anymore. Somebody in Chris Paul's camp was saying we don't want to be here anymore. CP ain't stupid. He know the Rockets organization picking him, Harden over him. Somebody said something. I came from nothing, but I want everything God has for me. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I still represent the culture.
I got the kids. You are now tuned in.
Yeah, we locked in right now, Mr.
Mr.Taliaferro.
Mr.Taliaferro.
Mr. Taliaferro.
Shout out to Mr.Taliaferro.
You're watching Mr.Taliaferro TV.
Mr. Taliaferro TV. Here with the triple B's, you can't do nothing but win.